Once upon a time, in a sunny meadow filled with tall green grass, colorful wildflowers, and the gentle hum of buzzing bees, lived a hard-working little ant. Every morning, just as the sun peeked over the hills, the ant would wake up, stretch his tiny legs, and march out with determination. He had one goal: to gather food for the winter. With a tiny basket made from a curled leaf, the ant would march back and forth from his ant hill to the fields. He picked grains, seeds, and crumbs, storing them carefully underground. "Winter is coming," he often said to himself, "and I must be ready." Not far from the ant's hill, under a shady tree, lived a cheerful grasshopper. He had shiny, green wings and long legs perfect for jumping and dancing. The grasshopper loved to sing, play his fiddle, and bask in the warm sunshine. "La, la, la, what a beautiful day," he chirped. "Who wants to work when the sky is blue and the breeze is sweet?" Every day the grasshopper would spot the ant carrying food and chuckle. "Why do you work so hard, little friend?" he asked. One day, hopping beside the ant wiped his brow and replied, "Because summer will not last forever. Soon the cold winds will blow and food will be hard to find." The grasshopper laughed and twirled. "Nonsense. There's food everywhere. Come, play me a tune." But the ant shook his head. "I'd love to, but I must finish my work. There will be time for music after the harvest." And so the days went by. During the warm months, the ant worked and worked. His tunnels were soon filled with grains, nuts, and berries. Every crumb was neatly stacked. He had just enough for himself and maybe even a little more. The grasshopper, on the other hand, sang his heart out. He danced under the stars and played his fiddle to the moon. He nibbled on leaves and drank dew from flower petals, never storing a single thing. Then, one morning, dark clouds rolled in. The wind howled across the meadow. The sky turned gray and cold raindrops began to fall. Winter had come. The ant sealed his cozy home and curled up in his warm little room. Outside, snow covered the ground like a white blanket. Trees stood bare. The fields were empty. But deep underground, the ant was safe, with shelves of food, warm blankets, and sweet dreams. Far above, the grasshopper shivered under a frozen leaf. His fiddle strings had snapped in the cold. His belly rumbled. The food was gone. The flowers were gone. Even the dew had turned to ice. He thought of the ant, so small, so wise, so busy, and he felt regret. With heavy steps, the grasshopper made his way to the ant's hill and gently knocked on the tiny door. Tap, tap, tap. The ant opened the door and gasped. "Grasshopper, you're freezing!" The grasshopper's eyes were dull, and his voice barely a whisper. I have no food, no shelter. I was foolish." The ant sighed and looked at the grasshopper's trembling wings. Without a word, he stepped aside and welcomed him in. "Come in. Warm yourself." The ant wrapped him in soft moss, poured him warm tea from a thimble, and gave him a slice of honey bread. The grasshopper cried quietly, "Thank you, ant. I laughed at you. I wasted the summer. And now I've learned my lesson." The ant smiled, kindly. "It's never too late to learn. But remember, each season has its purpose. Summer is for joy, but also for work. Winter doesn't wait for anyone." The two spent the rest of the winter together. The ant shared what he could. In return, the grasshopper helped tidy the home, sang soft lullabies, and promised to change as spring returned and snow melted away. Flowers bloomed again. Birds sang and bees buzzed. The meadow awakened with color and life. This time, when the ant marched out with his basket, the grasshopper followed with his own little pouch. He still played his fiddle, but only after the work was done. And every night, as stars sparkled above, the ant and the grasshopper sat together, sharing stories, songs, and warm laughter. The ant had helped his friend, but he had learned something too. kindness doesn't make you weak. It makes the world warmer, even in winter. And from that day on, the ant was not alone in his work. The grasshopper had become more than just a singer. He had become wise, helpful, and a true friend. The end.